Last week, Chinese hackers penetrated a high-level security agency responsible for maintaining and designing America's nuclear weapons. It's not clear yet if they gained access to any classified information.
A new investigation reveals China may have breached sensitive United States military systems more than a decade ago. National security correspondent Caitlin Burke has the details.
China's potential end to DoD systems didn't come in the form of a cyber attack or a rogue agent inside the government. The source appears to be Microsoft employees based in China, operating under oversight of undertrained U.S.-based supervisors.
These Microsoft engineers based in mainland China were feeding code to what were called digital escorts. So these were DoD employees with security clearances that were able to take the code that was produced by Microsoft engineers and then put it directly into DoD systems.
While these Microsoft employees are not known Chinese agents, according to a ProPublica investigation, many of the digital escorts tasked with patching their work into DoD systems report being ill-equipped to understand the code they receive. Jack Burnham, a research analyst with the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, sees this arrangement creating two main security concerns.
So there's both a concern about vulnerabilities in terms of Chinese engineers employed by Microsoft having an extensive knowledge of the cloud computing system, so being able to target certain aspects, as well as potentially introducing vulnerabilities that these digital escorts may not have known existed because they didn't have the technical expertise in order to spot them.
Both Microsoft and the Pentagon were reportedly notified over the last decade regarding potential security concerns given the location of the Microsoft engineers. But when ProPublica spoke with former and current Pentagon officials, many had little to no knowledge of the program or how it operated. The spokesperson for the Defense Information Systems Agency saying, quote, "Literally no one seems to know anything about this, so I don't know where to go from here." Microsoft, meanwhile, issuing a statement saying its personnel and contractors operate in a manner, quote, "consistent with U.S. government requirements and processes." No matter what circumstances led to this system flying under the radar for so long, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says it ends now.
And I want to thank all those Americans out there in the media and elsewhere who raised this issue to our attention so we could address it.
Effective immediately, Hegseth says China will no longer have any involvement in DoD cloud services, and he's ordered a 2-week review of all other Pentagon systems.
This is obviously unacceptable, especially in today's digital threat environment. Now, this was a legacy system created over a decade ago during the Obama administration. But we have to ensure the digital systems that we use here at the Defense Department are ironclad and impenetrable.
National security experts say it's time for a cybersecurity mindset shift across the federal government and for a major investment in a trusted workforce here at home capable of ensuring more critical systems aren't left vulnerable. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Well, frankly, there needs to be a total ban on either China or any of the enemies of the United States. China's been stealing U.S. tech for decades, and it's not a new story. What is a new story is that somehow or other our Department of Defense was using Chinese engineers in order to update the code for our most sensitive data, which is how our nuclear weapons are designed. Can you imagine a warfare scenario where the unthinkable is happening and nuclear weapons are being exchanged, and suddenly because of a ability to hack them, our weapons aren't usable? Well, it's just literally mind-boggling that we would use engineers in China for that task. And you say, well, they're Microsoft employees. Well, if you're a citizen of China, there's a lot of pressure that the Chinese government can and will put on you to bend to their will. And if you're in that sensitive position, they know it already. So is it any surprise that Chinese engineers would be working for their own government in order to extract secrets from our Department of Defense? What is just amazing to me is Microsoft would let that happen, and the Department of Defense would let that happen, and it would sneak in. Again, it's been going on for decades. China stealing IT from the U.S. and using it for their own systems. And is it any surprise that they would do it with our Defense Department? In other news, U.S. and Israeli negotiators pulled out of the ceasefire talks in Qatar. John Jessup has more on that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
That is right, Gordon. U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff said Hamas, quote, clearly shows a lack of desire to reach an agreement. Israelis also issued an angry response to France's announcement that it will support a Palestinian state. Meanwhile, humanitarian aid piles up at Gaza's doorstep. CBN's Chuck Holton has the latest from Jerusalem.
The United States is cutting short Gaza ceasefire talks and bringing its negotiating team home from Qatar after what it calls a disappointing response from Hamas.
While the mediators have made a great effort, Hamas does not appear to be coordinated or acting in good faith. We will now consider alternative options to bring the hostages home and try to create a more stable environment for the people of Gaza. It is a shame that Hamas has acted in this selfish way.
That announcement came just hours after French President Emmanuel Macron said France will recognize Palestine as a state. Israel slammed the move, calling it dangerous and diplomatically irresponsible. At the same time, Israeli officials are reacting strongly to what they're calling a blatant act of anti-Semitism in Spain, after more than 50 French Jewish teens were removed from a flight in Valencia after allegedly singing in Hebrew. And to push back against growing international criticism over humanitarian conditions in Gaza, Israel's military gave journalists a tour of the Gaza side of the Kerem Shalom crossing, where officials showed aid totaling a week's worth of food for everyone in Gaza, all awaiting distribution by the UN.
The state of Israel doesn't limit the trucks of aid coming to Gaza Strip. The main issue or the main problem is the collection and distributing issue.
The colonel said Hamas is using hunger as a weapon in the court of public opinion, intentionally starving its people.
They sending people to interfere, and they are doing that in order to build a picture of a crisis, of a chaos, of a problem in the humanitarian aid. That's false. 4,500 trucks in the last 2 months entered Gaza Strip and distributed to the people.
We're looking at literally millions of meals that are sitting out here in this parking lot just inside the border fence of Gaza that could be feeding the people inside Gaza, but the United Nations doesn't want to distribute it because that would mean having to work together with the IDF to get the job done. And it makes you wonder if that means the United Nations would rather bash Israel than feed the hungry. From Jerusalem, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Thank you, Chuck. Here at home, fans are mourning the passing of a legendary figure in the entertainment world. Hulk Hogan died at the age of 71. He was a 12-time world champion and a 2-time inductee in the World Wrestling Entertainment Hall of Fame. In 2024, CBN sports reporter Tom Buring spoke with Hogan, whose real name was Terry Bollea, about his career and his faith in Jesus Christ.
Oh, man, I'm all pumped up, maniacs. Hulk Hogan here.
Terry Bollea made the name present with unmatched success and global recognition in sports entertainment. A larger-than-life icon that transcends wrestling, saving his biggest splash not far from his Clearwater Beach store and restaurant.
Public baptism. Mm-hmm. You have said the greatest moment of your life.
Yes, without a doubt.
Terry, what did that mean for you?
It broke down that fourth or fifth wall to tell people the truth about my Lord and Savior, how, you should look at things or how you should care for people and not judge people. And it set me free. I wasn't that perfect vessel that I should be or should have been. Once I was baptized, I felt I was all anew. It really was a major pivot in my life.
Well, it was so fun to be a part of Terry's baptism and to see the ripple effect that has made all over the world. He had people in Japan calling him just a couple of minutes later. This is the way that Christians go public in their faith, and he felt it important to do what Christians do.
Hulk Hogan, what does the person of Jesus Christ, Terry, bring to you?
That God presence in us, that still small voice. So what Terry brings to the table is a meat suit you know, a meat suit filled with the Spirit of Christ, and it's a testing ground for me. I accepted Christ as my Savior when I was 14, but I derailed. It wasn't my life. He has given me the opportunity to prove that I'm faithful, and I'll never make those same mistakes again. My faith, the momentum was overwhelming. There was nothing stopping me.
What became the most draining to sustain the Hulk Hogan recognition?
Well, 35 years of wrestling, still had that bug in me where I like to see if I was getting approved. After I slammed one guy and looked to the crowd, I guess I made a crazy face, but the look that I gave a better reaction than the wrestling move. I went, okay, they want to see me be a little goofy and have fun in here. And that character launched me into this crazy genre where it all intertwined together. You know, the character and the wrestling.
All of us are in our own ring, using stage names, characters. How did you take off that mask?
I get sick and tired of myself. You know, the two people in my head, the ego and the real I am. I mean, I just surrendered. I just said I can't do it anymore, you know, and I went back to the Bible, you know, and I started reading again, and I'm either all the way in or all the way out with whatever I do. So if you're with me, there's no guesswork. If I'm with my Lord and Savior, I'm all the way in.
What message do you now convey at this stage of your life?
It's a spiritual war in this fallen world. To turn to the truth, seek Him and you shall find. To step outside their comfort zone and, you know, accept Christ, knowing that He would heal the land and heal this nation and heal the people. It just seems like such an easy choice for everyone. If you'll just surrender, accept Him as your Savior.
A look back on the life of Hulk Hogan. And Gordon, I have to say, as a kid, he was a staple in my Saturday mornings along with Junkyard Dog and Andre the Giant, so it's great to hear him talk about his faith.
Well, he was such a great entertainer. Our hearts go out to his family and to his loved ones who will be missing him. What larger-than-life personality, and what a great stage presence. But listen to his message. You know, after all the fame, after all the money, after worldwide adulation, he's saying the most important thing to me is my relationship with Jesus Christ. My baptism was the biggest moment of my life. Listen to that and let it sink deep into your heart. Maybe you're like him, you know, when you were young. For Terry, it was age 14. He made a commitment to Christ, and then for whatever reason, you went away and you thought the things that the world had to offer were more appealing. Realize that it's for you too. The story of the prodigal child is for you. You can come back, and God will welcome you with open arms. He's actually watching and waiting for you to turn around, to say, yes, I want that. I want to have the joy of my salvation restored to me. If you want that, we're here for you. All you have to do is call us. We'd be glad to pray for you. Jesus said there is no sin that can't be forgiven. Now, that's a wonderful news. That's fantastic. So come home to Him. He wants you home. So call us. If you want prayer, we're here for you. If you need to confess and get unburdened from anything that's weighing you down, anything that's keeping you from God. If you're not right with God today, get right with Him. Call us, 1-800-700-7000.